This is exciting. This is actually like a really interesting matchup because like ISIS battles kind of hard on Savannah. So Thor's actually got a chance. This is one of the few maps where Thor has a chance against ISIS, I reckon.
Well, Thor, well, he can actually do pretty well, I think, on every high hunt map, because it's gonna allow him some decent Ragnarok, right? And that's basically the win condition for him. Or do you think that he can be deciding it even sooner, like by normal raiding?
I think his strongest strategy on Nilla is some sort of semi-fast heroic and a flaming weapons timing push, like you saw me use with Loki against Hagrid's Isis yesterday. Was it yesterday? Or the other day? Yeah. I think that's the strongest way to go.
Well, right now already it seems like that SuperAfim might be having a bit of an advantage, as Shelty unfortunately hasn't really scouted the Rhino just yet. Right now he's going to be looking at it, going with the goats there. So it's already a bit of an unfortunate situation for him.
Yeah, it doesn't change too much. She's only spent half a second on the chickens, and he's already
Very
got
nice
hunting
blocking
dogs.
right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cute with the goats, hey.
That's something that actually Hagrid could have used yesterday against you in the last
Oh
game.
yeah. Yeah, to save his villager from death.
It was pretty lucky for him. But yeah, well, I think the biggest problem yesterday was that actually he missed scouting the extra giraffes that could have helped him a bit more for some standard time. But yeah, it still was pretty great match between you guys. You took it to all the 8 games.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really close. And I think you can, if you have a look at the giraffe spawns, we've actually got one of the hunt spawns for giraffes being cut off by the map. So you've only got a 3 giraffe spawn in the left corner,
Ah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
one huge one in the middle, and then one kind of small one on the left. But that's all going to be for Shelty, I imagine, because he should grab map control really early.
Yeah, that's at
Unless
least...
SuperAfim decides to classical fight, which might actually be a wise choice.
Yeah, at least nice giraffes on the right for SuperAfim. And actually, it seems like double giraffes. I'm kind of interested if he's gonna be moving in there, but right now he's already pushed back by the Lusark on the priest, so he's not even gonna scout it all that much. So it
Yeah,
seems
that was
like...
a really lucky find. SuperAfim's only managed to get one obelisk up with that priest so far, so that's going to be a difficult time for him. But
It's kind of
Shelty wasn't like strong enough to keep SuperAfim off that obelisk.
Yeah, it's looking like that actually Shelty prefers a bit to scout them a bit more. It's unfortunate that he actually cannot see how much they have scouted, but he probably wants to see where the gold is, because he hasn't really found it yet, I think. If he has scouted on the right side, there's basically just one goal on the very right for Shelty, and that's about it. He doesn't know yet where the gold is for SuperAfim. And SuperAfim he has scouted by the goats quite nicely on the left, so he knows where the gold is, and it's next to the TC, which is definitely gonna help him. Because of course that's gonna make for quite safe gameplay for him, it seems like in there.
Yeah, very true. I don't think that SuperAfim is going to be unhappy with this map. It's very hard to get back gold mines on Savannah, and he's kind of got 2 on opposite corners of the map, so he's got to be pretty happy with that.
And even the starting gold is safe. That's absolutely unassailable right now. There's no way
Of
to get
course,
there for
yes.
Shelty.
Yeah. So we might actually be seeing a quite a long game. Maybe Shelty might be wanting to think about that Flaming Weapons Ragnarok Titan strategy, which seems to work. It works better there because you get the classic town center, so you can start spamming villages really early. But on Nilla, it's a bit harder because you need to grab 3 town centers in the heroic age. It delays your mythic age a little bit. So, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Since this map is kind of looking alright, and SuperAfim is already on the giraffes and he's having plenty of them, I'm kind of thinking that his heroic should be quite alright at about 730. That should be pretty fast on, I'm thinking. Since he has already started on the Rhino as well, so should be alright as food is concerned. So it's gonna be probably kind of tough for Shelty to decide what he wants to do, because he's probably gonna be facing the Migdol quite soon. And so far, I'm not entirely certain but actually SuperAfim could be put in it. If he's gonna be choosing the TCs or if he's gonna be choosing the gold on the left. So far, I'm kinda thinking I will be favoring the TC a bit more for the map control to basically try and steal the possibility from Shelty on that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at this map from SuperAfim's perspective, and the more I look at it, the more I think he should be like doing some sort of spearman classical fight just to hold on to all that hunt that he's got. Because if he gets kicked off it, it's going to be very sad.
Yeah, right now Shelty is already having a bit of a second look to see where all the villages are. Right now he has discovered it, and he should be probably already advancing because he does have the temple. Yeah, oh, he's advancing right now, exactly as I just mentioned it, which is actually
very
not bad.
interesting choice. Yeah, very interesting choice of Forseti there. This is a pretty old strategy that oh, I can't remember his name. Maybe Brickhead might have used back in like 2007 against ISISes with Thor. He'd try and do a kind of pseudo Loki strategy where you grab Hall of Thanes with Forseti as Thor in order to combat the ISIS Ancestors Eclipse, and then spam raiding cavalry as well. So it gets that Hursa raiding cavalry mix to deal with ISIS's fast heroic.
That's actually a pretty good idea. Because it might just as well rely exactly on the ancestors, because it seems like that Shelty will be pushing at about the time when SuperAfim is gonna be dropping the Migdol. So I'm really curious where SuperAfim is gonna be trying to stop it, or rather put it down. So far he's still quite brave, staying at the giraffes, even at 6 minutes.
Yeah, he needs the giraffe at the moment. He wouldn't have the food to advance just yet, and you can see he's just force dropping onto the granary right there. So he's just managed to scoop up as much food from those giraffe as he possibly could, and then deleted all of his buildings so that Shelty can't get any free favor from fighting them.
Yeah, that was pretty clever. That's something that is probably for the very first time that I'm seeing this, that somebody is actually deleting buildings behind them, not to give extra favor to the opponent. That's actually super clever. Super clever indeed.
It's definitely the right way to play, because those buildings are going down anyways, and there's really not a lot of stuff for the army of Thor to do at this moment until basically 10 minutes when ISIS's first gold mine runs out, and that'll be when the first real fight starts.
Well, right now though the problem could be for SuperAfim that he actually had like about 3 goats, which is definitely not great. He's going to be running out of them pretty soon.
Yeah, it looks like SuperAfim didn't have enough food right then, so he's going to be getting more like an 8-minute advance instead of a 7:30 like we initially expected from that giraffe pack. And he's only just now using prosperity, so he has just clicked the advance button.
Yeah, and Shelty is absolutely everywhere. He's scouting next to the top TCs, right now having a pretty good outlook of the map, and he's basically right now scouting every possible place where the Migdol could be coming down. So that's definitely a good idea from him, and it seems that actually the Migdol will be forced into the defensive position, into the base, which is definitely pretty bad. As right now, even though we said the golds are at the start that were pretty safe and backish golds, they are pretty far away right about now.
This is a pretty crazy suicide from Shelty. I don't think that he completely... Oh, okay, he came down through there. That was cool. So he's just scouted out the gold. He sees how much gold is left in that gold mine specifically, so he knows exactly how long is left to mine on that one. I reckon what he should be doing at this point is walling off the map to delay SuperAfim from moving outside of his base. I mean, he's a bit late on it, but if he had done that straight away, he would have been able to delay the this push from the villages onto this town center. Looks like he's kind of going for the wrong town center as well. Or is this the town center you expected him to go for?
Not really. I was kind of a bit more expecting that he would be going either for the middle, basically for full map control, or then he could be coming for the safe on the left, which is a bit better overall in the long run. For trade, for the gold, that is a bit more easier to actually capture for him. But yeah, well, it seems like the TC will be coming for him. The empowering is just a bit too strong. There's like no way that you can be stopping it with those villagers.
Yeah, well, that basically puts the nail in the coffin for the gold stub strategy. There's no possible way for Shelty to do that, but it looks like he's going to be heading to the heroic age himself relatively soon. He's got all the dwarves on on goat, as well as he's still hunting from that massive pack of giraffe. So he's got a little. He's not out of the game just yet, just because he's lost the ability to gold starve.
I was a bit surprised in there that Shelty actually ran away altogether, that he didn't actually go to the next through gold in the back. Maybe it could be because he hasn't scouted it, I'm not entirely certain, but it seemed like that even if he could delay SuperAfim just, I don't know, by 15-20 seconds, it would just be worth it. All the seconds that you can get without the Migral are always an advantage in the faster heroic from ISIS. Huh? That's pretty fast.
Yeah, definitely. That's yeah, the 940 heroic is quite strong, but he's not yet started to grab that next town center. I'm not exactly sure what he's planning to do with his heroic age at this point.
Well, right now he will have to deal, of course, with the Scorpion Man. That is going to be a bit annoying, apparently. Well, that's a pretty brave Willy fight in there. Already cost him one of the wills. But still, it seems to be at least working for the moment. But of course he's gonna right now get away, get healed, if SuperAfim is going to be microing things properly. But maybe he's just gonna kill him with the horses
Shelty
right
looks
now.
like he should be able to surround that Scorpion. I don't think that Scorpion's escaping today. He's saying goodbye. He got his one villager, so he's traded as Scorpion Man for a villager. Not exactly worth, but yeah, it is what it is. It gives him more time, I guess, because instead of attacking, Shelty will be having to defend in that regard. So in that way, it's good. Shelty's grabbing that Ford town center now as well, which is pretty bold. I mean, it's his, but it's still like in a very interesting place as we see one of the first engagements from Shelty running into SuperAfim's army of chariots and priests. We'll see how that works out for him.
Quite alright, he's at least right now forcing the Ancestors, and can he actually finish the TC before that? Well, he can, just so. Oh, come on. Yeah, that was pretty close.
Ancestors are really strong though. If he can micro those Ancestors away from the Hersers, he may be able to rip down that town center straight away with just the Ancestors push. But it looks like Shelty's micro is a little bit too strong right there. Managed to pick off most of those.
Yeah, and since there are no siege towers yet, there is not even siege workshop, there is really no threat right now to the TC. So it seems that it's gonna be working for Shelty quite well. And to be honest, I have to agree with what you said, that it's kinda a brave choice right now by Shelty. I would have probably gone for the back one, because of course he could have expected that with the Ancestors, and if SuperAfim already did have at least like 1 or 2 siege towers, it could have been pretty hard for him to actually keep it up. But this way, since SuperAfim didn't have it, it seems to be a much better idea than it seemed at the start.
When I play ISIS, I always try and play by the rule of, do I have at least 2 siege towers to combo with my Ancestors Eclipse? Because if you don't, you can't really do much with it. You can't really push through and actually take anything down. And we do see a cheeky little raid from SuperAfim as Shelty's coming in onto the town center, but I guess you can expect some mercenary to pop out right now to deal with this while he's having to defend. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, quite definitely. And SuperAfim is actually using the opportunity in here, since he sees where all the army is, because yeah, this is basically just pop army right now for Shelty, to get the back TC in there, which is of course quite important because of the next gold mines, as they're gonna be quite easier for him to gather from. And of course he's gonna set up the trade pretty soon right now for SuperAfim, so Shelty should probably do something significant fairly soonish. Yeah. Otherwise it might be trickling through his hands.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say that this map almost looked like it was a down the what do you call it, like north and south style map. So like instead of it being through the middle, you kind of cut it the other way. And that top town center that SuperAfim's now claimed kind of seemed a little bit like it was Shelty's. But now that SuperAfim has it, there's no possible way for Shelty to grab it, if that makes any sense at all.
What I have right now noticed is that actually Shelty is having at least some upgrades. He's having actually bronze shields, that's pretty good, with copper weapons on them. So he's having actually a pretty good army right now for any kind of engagements against the chariot archers and even some potential towers, which are still not coming up. He still doesn't have even another military building, still just having basically 1 Migral. There was apparently an attempt to build something right next to the front TC. Next to the Migral, there is something destroyed. Might have been some
Yeah,
siege
I think
workshop.
yeah, SuperAfim definitely needs to think about chucking down some more military buildings. This is definitely a problem in my own play where I like to just stay on the one Migdol because I don't like to spend the 400 gold on another one. I just want to spend my resources somewhere else. But he's popped at the moment. But when he loses his army, that's the problem. When he loses his army, he needs to refill it. That's the big issue, and you can't do that off one Migdol. So if Shelty manages to get a surround on that army and flaming weapons, that could be devastating.
Yeah, right now it seems like that Shelty is actually aiming to advance into the Mythic. He has already placed the market on the left side and he's having like a ton of villages actually on gold. At the same time he's basically popped right now. So I'm really thinking that he's aiming already for the Ragnarok.
Yeah, he may be going Ragnarok.
Oh,
maybe going, yeah,
no,
that's what I was going to say. Maybe Fimble Winter. Then you can combine Flaming Weapons and Fimble Winter and get a nice spawn of the Fimble Winter Wolves. And there you go, you can see them right on that top town center. You get one spawn per town center. It's incredibly strong.
Unfortunately, they are gonna be useless because they're behind a wall. Well, that's the first time I'm seeing this. At the top.
That's so unlucky, but that's not the one that matters. The one that matters is the one that's killing SuperAfim's army at the moment.
That's definitely helping quite immensely.
Yeah, Shelty should be able to take down that town center right now. And even with the villagers repairing it, it's going to go down incredibly quickly because of flaming weapons, and he'll be able to take that for his own.
Yeah, that's going to be working quite alright for him, because he has already killed like almost the whole army. And since SuperAfim have been basically still just one Migdol.
Town centers up.
Yeah.
The fortified town center is going to help just a little bit, but I think it should still go down.
Yeah, it will. It will, and the mercenaries are gonna be gone as well, pretty much. There is, well, some villages on the left right now from Shelty. He can potentially turn them into some Usarks and try to get a bit of raiding on the gold and on the TC, but he's probably not gonna do it yet. But it's gonna be pretty hard
that might
for
be a risk.
SuperAfim.
Yeah, that might be a risky maneuver. And this is the problem that I was talking about before. Now that SuperAfim's only got the one Migdol, he's going to be sitting at roughly like 115 pop at the moment. And he's going to be losing units as fast as he's making them, which makes it really easy for Shelty to just stay ahead of the pop game and manage to push through. He's also got
even though chariots are made pretty fast, just basically having one Migdol is still not going to be enough. In any kind of universe, and especially since you are on vanilla, so you don't have auto queue to make things simpler and whatnot, and you need to manage everything still manually. So of course you cannot put it into more buildings.
Look at that! Look at Shelty. He's got 5 Fenris Wolfbrood. 6 Fenris Wolfbrood. He's left one at home. And he's going to be sending them round to do some cheeky raiding. These are my favorite unit in the entire game.
And they're getting up to 30 attack. That's gonna be brutal. They're gonna get through the walls in a few hits, and then the TC. Yeah, that's not gonna survive. Not even mercenaries are gonna be helping against this.
Well, I think he's going up to the gold mine in the market. Actually, I think Shelty expects SuperAfim to be trading at the moment, but that's not even on his mind. He doesn't have the food to support that.
So he's through there, and there is a bit of a cheeky attempt right now by SuperAfim to actually retake the TC on the right. But even though he does have pretty decent army right about now, because the population is spent for Shelty on the Wolfies, it's also quite significant population limit. He is probably forced to go back to the bottom and help himself a bit in there, because he needs the extra population limit, and he couldn't really get some extra TC yet. That's a bit of a problem for him. Something that we hope that he will be getting exactly the one that he's right now fighting next to. But it just didn't happen
This is
yet.
actually this just happened just then. Shelty had to move his gold mine, so he just had a very short stoppage of gold income, which meant he couldn't keep producing because he would have ran out of gold, which is why SuperAfim managed to push back through that army. It's the really small things where if you spread your villages out, that doesn't happen. But unfortunately, Shelty not thinking ahead enough and didn't actually have the army to stop SuperAfim from pushing through.
Yeah, problem also for Shelty is that he's still having just pickaxe. He's not having even shaft mine, so of course he's gathering pretty slowly. It's also not too great.
Definitely a Titan's. I reckon it's a Titan's mindset where you don't get economic upgrades because you forget about it because you're not having to manage your economy because of auto queue. I don't know why they don't, but that's the thing, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. There are players who just basically don't go for economical upgrades at all. For example, Sensui was pretty famous for that. He was basically,
Yeah.
even 40-minute game, he was having plow the whole game. And he was happy with his farms. And he still could stay valid in the game. That's even more amazing on that.
The what do you call it? The Nature Phoenix, or the old pro Nature Phoenix style of play, where you kill your opponent's economy faster than you kill your own.
Yeah, exactly. That was the same back then, and it's definitely working still to this day. But of course, right now Shelty attempting to take down TC, but it seems like he's gonna fail pretty horribly. And he has already failed because SuperAfim did retake the TC on the right, and he's already moving up with some barracks in there and some siege works as well. So it's probably gonna be just waiting right now for the Mythic, for SuperAfim. And if he can get there, then that's gonna be pretty bad news, as probably Meteors or maybe some of Osiris.
Shelty definitely needs to start thinking about late game Thor. Unfortunately, he's going through Tyr instead of what's the other god? I mind blanked. Instead of Balder, so he doesn't get Fire Giant. So you can't do the classic Ballister Fire Giant spam, which is actually really hard to stop as an ISIS player. So he's going to have to think about towers and Ballister in order to basically survive. But right now he's losing all of his gold villages. Those heavy chariots making
it's pretty bad. Right now, what I also noticed when we were talking about the economical upgrades, as there is an assault by Shelty on the right, that actually SuperAfim himself doesn't have even plow on his farms. So he's kind of lucky that he doesn't eat all that much of a food, but still, that's not gonna help him reach the Mythic at all. Not having such a base upgrade.
Yep, that's the one. This is a classic era from ISIS player when you have a set period in the game where you think to get plow, and if you don't pick it up then, you think you're up to irrigation or flood control, so you just don't look to go back and see if it's taken. And you spend the rest of the game just not having that upgrade just because you forget about it and you don't think you can afford the next one.
Well, that's pretty sad news right now though for SuperAfim, because it might be quite easily costing the game. Because right now, even though he's having pretty decent army, finally the switch into the Ballistae, as we were talking about, has been made. So it seems that this push should be quite alright. And the combination with the horses, it's okay. He could be definitely welcoming more, some Huscarls, but that's a problem because both Ballistae and Huscarls are from Hillfort, so we cannot really afford that all that much. And villagers meeting at the bottom.
The villagers meeting at the bottom, and the biggest issue for Shelty right now, apart from the fact that SuperAfim is spamming mercenaries, he's only got three longhouse, which means his production is incredibly slow, right?
Yeah, he's really not really much. It's kind of interesting, but finally he has at least gotten the back TC, so they are both at 3. So there's at least right now something going for Shelty, and there is gonna be another altercation at the bottom next to the goal. That's kind of interesting because SuperAfim is making some barracks in there. He sent a few chariots, but so did also Shelty send some horses. It's gonna be who's actually gonna die first, it seems like. Shelty has at least noticed, gonna be killing a few of the chariots, it seems like.
Shelty doing that classic micro with the heavy raider so that he doesn't take any damage, moving him back and forth. If you hold shift and you right click, then you can just, then you can just run around and not take any damage.
That's pretty neat trick in here, that seems to be working for him. Apparently a bit of a Billy fighting also by SuperAfim. But he shouldn't really push it all that much, I'm thinking, because he has already lost like plenty of the villages in there. But still, since he can produce the spearman, it's not gonna be that easy for Shelty to actually get rid of it. Especially considering that SuperAfim is right now moving forward on the TC in the middle. Finally having some siege towers, but with all the upgrades, it seems like, he doesn't have masons. So that's a bit unfortunate. But at least the 45 TC is just gonna be good enough, but he did lose. He did lose the hill fort, and that is the problem that you talked about a bit earlier, that he doesn't have enough production buildings. And he's basically right now not having enough right now for an event
Now
to be
the
replacing them.
longhouse is coming down. Finally, at 23 minutes. There's a pretty easy way to not have this happen to you. Every time you build another town center, build another 3 longhouses or another 3 barracks. That's the easiest way to remember to do it, because that's when you can support it.
Right now he's at least forcing some of the villages to actually switch into Ulfsarks at the bottom, because he needs to somehow solve the situation next to gold. And it's kinda not really working to his advantage all that much, because of course, right now kinda thinking that SuperAfim is quite happy to keep Shelty off the gold rather than take it himself, because he already does have the trade working quite alright, even though it's wide open. There is not really kind of enough walling and such in the middle next to the base TC. And of course, still the missing plow and still making new farms and not really noticing SuperAfim. And he's still having hand axe and pickaxe, so this is basically like no economy upgrades game, like if they actually agreed on it.
Oh,
Shelty is having a bit more.
Shelty's economic upgrades are okay.
Finally got some.
It's just,
Even the flat control, the shaft
it's
miner
actually
keys.
the only reason this game is so close. I reckon if SuperAfim had grabbed those upgrades, it'd be doing really well.
Yeah, seems so. Definitely seems so, but the economy should be really getting quite stronger for Shelty, because the missing upgrades for SuperAfim, especially as an Egyptian, should be a bit more noticeable than they actually are. I'm kinda surprised that he's able to stay in the game so well.
Well, the ISIS units are just so strong compared to Thor units. Even with all the armory upgrades, they just rip through it. So you need, as Thor, you need to be super efficient and also have really strong economy to keep up with the spam that ISIS has. And I think Shelty's actually doing a really good job. And if you look at the top of the map, this is going to be the telling thing. Can Shelty stop this trade route and put some pressure on that top town center? We'll see if he can manage to do that. He also needs to think about starting up a trade route before he loses that last gold mine with 2,000 gold in it, and there's the other gold mine which has about 2,000 to 3,000 gold in it as well.
Yeah, he definitely needs to. Right now, unfortunately, he's gonna be discovered at the top. But it's gonna be interesting how actually SuperAfim reacts to this. If he's just gonna send some mercenaries, or if he's gonna overreact and send some kind of army. Because I kinda think that Shelty in the middle could use a bit of a respite. It's a bit hard for him to deal with it, as he needs to use units to even repair the TC. That's, of course, the problem for Norse. They need the army to even help themselves defend.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the mercenary you're talking about at the top. It's very difficult for Norse to do this kind of side attack without completely setting up. And what he should be thinking about doing is upgrading those sentry towers to watchtowers and getting crenellations in order to combat the mercenaries. The one thing that everybody complains about ISIS doing is the fact they can make a free army. Well, what can you do as Norse or Greek to make your own free army? And that's aggressive towers with crenellations. They're the counter to mercenaries.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Even though right now the hill for... Oh! Okay,
Shelty tapping out prematurely. I think he was just fed up with the fact that nothing was working for him.
I kinda think so, that because he lost the hill for, he kinda thought he's not gonna be having a shot at stopping the trade, and much more importantly, he probably thought that he lost the last gold. And it's kinda a shame that actually Shelty didn't see that he didn't need to somehow actually stop the trade by killing the market, because the caravans were just going next to him in open field. He just needed to drop the hill fort in there, and it would have been gone. So...
Well, he wouldn't have completely shut the trade route down, because there's the bottom route through, but that would have been a much easier solution to his problem.
It's kinda curious, because Shelty was still getting up in upgrades. SuperAfim is having literally none on units. He's having only heavy chariots and no from armory, whereas Shelty was already having double bronze and copper, so he was already efficient in there. On the economy, he was in absolutely another universe from red, so I kinda think he actually could have played a bit longer, and he should have just won, I'm thinking, if he just stayed patient.
Yeah, SuperAfim definitely played this economically poorly. His macro on that ground was really poor, but his army management and ability to basically just pick off Shelty's units was quite strong, which kind of made up for his poor economy in a way. So yeah, it was kind of well played from him in that aspect.
It was probably lost for Shelty at the point where he let SuperAfim retake the TC yet again on the right side. And yeah, as you said a bit before, if he could take it for himself, Shelty, then it might have been pretty much GG right from there. But it turned out to be exactly the opposite, as it was just basically just the first step on the way back into the victory for SuperAfim. So he was careful enough and patient enough, and it paid off for him, as he's right now 2-0 in the match. As I'm going through the post game.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we? Well, you want to check out the post game?
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly go through the post game if there's something interesting. The economy is pretty similar, even through the different amount of upgrades on them, on the villages. And yeah, upgrades. SuperAfim with 13 upgrades.
Yeah, yeah, you can see the military difference is actually not as. Oh, it kind of is. You have 60 more. Was it 50? 50 more lost than SuperAfim. So that accounts for a large chunk of that economy advantage that Shelty had, or at least looked like Shelty had. Now I'm looking at the economy. It kind of looks like SuperAfim was fine.
Surprisingly so. Surprisingly so, it has to be said. Well, so that was the second game. GG.